Real news. True, honest, and not fake news. Welcome back, everybody, to a edition of Real News Uncensored, one of the last few ones we're going to be doing till we get back to the normal show every Saturday at 7 p.m. on the line 90.7 FM. And the big story that broke right after we did our last episode, actually, it was literally just hours after, so it's a little bit old right now, but we still got to talk about it in some depth, is Alex Jones has been purged from the internet. That's not hyperbole, that's not clickbait. YouTube, Facebook, and Apple all removed Alex Jones from their platforms within a 24-hour period. It was a coordinated effort. One domino fell after the next. And a report out recently says that Zuckerberg himself personally personally made the decision to remove Alex Jones from Facebook. And then, of course, Spotify, LinkedIn, and even freaking MailChimp followed suit a few days later, banning him from their platforms. And the only thing he's really on now is his website and his app and Twitter. Twitter says they'll keep Alex Jones on their platform because he hasn't violated any of their policies. But what's funny is his app shot up to number 3 in the news section of the Apple App Store, which was ahead of CNN. And on Android, I believe he got to number 1. And of course, there's been more bans after that. We made a video about this, right after it happened. And I said, I don't know word for word, but I basically said that there's going to be more. This is just the beginning. First, they came for Alex Jones. I tweet about all kinds of stuff. And some people were laughing at us. Some people were laughing at other people saying the same things. But a few days later, Gavin McInnes, another big conservative and proud Trump supporter, and his men's group that was basically like an adult frat, were completely banned from Twitter days after Alex Jones. They say it was for violating their policy of, quote, prohibiting violent extremist groups, which I don't know how the Proud Boys or Gavin McInnes were violent extremists. I know the Proud Boys have gotten into some brawls, but it was more self-defense. They didn't initiate any violence. And Gavin himself hasn't initiated violence that I know of. But, of course, all these mainstream media outlets spun it that Gavin McInnes was banned right before the Unite the Right rally, as if he had something to do with it, as if he was going to show up there. One of them even called him fucking alt-right. I think that was the Telegraph, if I'm not mistaken. You can check our video out on that if you want to know. But he is not alt-right. He literally put in his Twitter bio, anti-alt-right, and he's literally condemned the alt-right. He told people not to go to Charlottesville last year. He's telling them not to go there again. He told the Proud Boys to not go, and the Proud Boys told people not to go because there's going to be a bunch of racist and stupid, evil people there. And they couldn't make it any clearer. They have no connection to it. They hate the alt-right. The alt-right hates Gavin. I mean, I think he's married to a Native American, so they're going to hate him for that. But all of this stuff, and they're still smearing him. And on top of that, it was like right around the time Gavin was banned, the popular YouTuber H3H3 lost their live streaming privileges on YouTube because in their previous video or podcast, they talked about Alex Jones. So you can't even talk about the guy without getting banned or privileges taken away. It's insane what's happening. Big tech censorship is the biggest issue happening right now. Nobody's talking about enough, and it's already getting worse. We've had Milo, Sargon, Tommy Robinson, Roger Stone, Gavin McInnes, and Alex Jones all taken off of big tech platforms. Some of them, of course, are still on some of these platforms, but a lot of the ones I named were from Twitter, that have been banned. The only one, of course, that is still on Twitter is Alex Jones, for clarity's sake, but it's just getting worse, and I don't see an end in sight until government steps in. And I know that's strange coming from a right-winger, but you're going to need some government intervention.
All right. Well, actually, I was seeing a little bit of and I believe what they're doing to Alex Jones may be considered refusal to deal, which is something that's kind of created through the Sherman antitrust. Basically, what that entails is a refusal to deal, or a considered refusal to deal is an agreement between competing companies or between a company and an individual or business that stipulates that they refuse to do business with another. I believe what's going on is you see all these big tech companies, and they are engaging in collusion and refusal to deal against Alex Jones. I'm no lawyer, but I think this is given like the timeline of these events, that this was a concerted effort between these large companies. And Alex Jones, if he's smart, and I'm sure he's probably looking into it, a business attorney could go and actually file a lawsuit against this, and you could probably get a bunch of other people, like you mentioned, Gavin McInnes and various other people who've been like essentially unpersoned. And it's just really interesting the way that this kind of it plays out. Alex Jones is banned from everything but Twitter, and I think Twitter probably did that so they could avoid this refusal to deal potential of a lawsuit. And like Alex Jones has been on these platforms for like years and years, but it's all just at once. Like there's obviously some form of collusion over here, much more evident than Russian collusion between these big tech companies. And with Gavin McInnes, that doesn't make any sense what they're doing because he, as you mentioned, he specifically told the Proud Boys not to go to Charlottesville. So what Twitter's doing is completely ridiculous, especially considering the fact that Richard Spencer is still out on that platform. At least I checked it earlier today. It could be changed, but I highly doubt that he's still allowed on there, and he's someone who's probably, I don't know if he did attend the previous one, but
He did.
he did,
Yeah.
and they still allowed him on the platform. Like, how does that make any sense? And then they were like, I know last year they to like get to Charlottesville, which I also think that's really disingenuous. That they're doing that they're like banning you from using like from the entire platform for trying to go somewhere that wasn't like illegal, at least at the time. It was just an event, and it's just like really crazy. When does this stop? Like the only reason that they're not like banning him from owning a Verizon phone is that's cell phones and like telephony is considered a like public utility. So I think that's definitely something that should be looked into, and maybe we will have to go and turn these into some sort of public utility at this point because it's just getting ridiculous. We're getting unpersoned. It's like 1984 and 2018. It's really scary.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like, there's basically like three ways I could see this happening, which is that it either becomes a public forum, as that one judge ruled that Trump couldn't ban people because it's a public forum, which I don't know the details of that, or it's going to become a public utility. Again, I don't know the full details of that, but to be honest, the internet itself is a public utility. Like, I think everybody can at least agree to that. Or there's going to have to be some sort of rules put in place, like an internet bill of rights. Like, that'd be the third option, is an internet bill of rights. And again, I don't know any drafts of it out there. There probably are some, but those are our three main options. It's either public utility, public forum, or internet bill of rights. I'd love to see more people talk about this and explain it because, like I said, it's a big topic that nobody's talking about enough.
Well,
You're seeing some talk of it, but just not like mainstream media isn't talking about because like Alex Jones is a competitor, so they're okay with his ban.
well, what you're another sort of option too is because we have the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. They have a safe harbor clause in there, and they could revoke Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube's safe harbor status on there because they are essentially editorializing the content, which is what that like the only way that you cannot be affected by a safe harbor is if it's like your content. If it's user content, then you can't you're not responsible for it, and then you have other things like you can take it down after a timely like in a timely manner. But since this is considered like they're actively just deleting people and discriminating against people, you can't really consider that like just free content posting. They're editorializing the content. They're shadow banning people. They're doing all these other things. A lawmaker could, that which would be really interesting. Just strip these major tech companies of that status, and at which point that happens. So either like completely drastically change overnight, try to get it back and change their policies, or they will end up going under within a matter of days, I think, because every single instance of a copyright video that's put on there, copyright image, copyright anything, will be you could be like eligible to be sued for like I think over $250,000. And
Hmm.
I know on like YouTube they have like hundreds of streams and like videos with King of the Hill content on there, and like cartoons. And you find like movies on there illegally, and every single one of those, probably tens of thousands, if not millions, of copyrighted content examples exist on there, and they'd be just like thrown to the vultures in a matter of probably a couple days. So I think that's an option. Or another option is looking into like just general antitrust lawsuits against Facebook, Google, Twitter, the big tech companies, and making them either like dissolving the companies or making them sign a legal agreement stating that you can't be thrown off of this for being a conservative, essentially.
Yeah. The least likely option I see is the Bernie Sanders option, I'm going to call it, which is we need to break up the big tech companies. I don't see them getting broken up in any, fashion because, to create a competitor is really going to be impossible. There are some competitors like Gab or Mines, but nobody fucking uses them. And yeah, the Sherman antitrust laws are very interesting because I think that could be a definite possibility. I don't know the specifics of the law or how they really work, but I think Trump's going to become he kind of already is a Teddy Roosevelt president, but I think you're going to see it. He's going to be the president that's going to do something about this because it's getting worse. It's getting really bad, and there's a clear bias. Like, look, we've talked about, we talked about in our recent video. Let's start naming the accounts that are still on Twitter. Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Richard Spencer, David Duke, Antifa, and the fucking Westboro Baptist Church. And Westboro Baptist Church is the left's favorite punching bag. Like, I hate them too, but like the left loves to hate on them. I mean, this is a group that literally harasses families at funerals, and then Antifa literally sends out commands of violence against Trump supporters and anybody they just don't like. Like, these are clear groups that if we're going to abide by the standard Twitter set, which is, oh, no violence, no hate speech, no extremist content, these groups would be banned immediately. They'd be the first, sent out. But no, they're still on there. Richard Spencer's still on there because the left needs their boogeyman to smear the right as racist. They need this controlled opposition because that's all he is. I mean, the guy is only, he's a media whore because he knows he's not going to get media attention, because of his views in the sense of a normal person like Donald Trump. Like, Richard Spencer only gets media platforms because, he relies on it. Like, he keeps going for it. It's not like, I'm going to try to make a better example. Like Paul Joseph Watson, he doesn't need mainstream media to cover him. He has 1 million subscribers on YouTube. He's fine, but Richard Spencer needs that media coverage. He needs mainstream media. And so they come, crawling to him because they need, oh, what's Richard Spencer going to say? We know he's going to support this thing Trump said, so we're going to show a connection between Richard Spencer supports this thing that Trump supports, which must mean that anybody that supports this is bad. And they do it all the time. So, of course, his account's going to stay up. And, it's, like we said, it's getting out of hand. Something's going to be done soon. It's only a matter of time, I think. If another big name conservative that is related to some more mainstream ones gets banned, that's when I could see something really get kicked into high gear. But I think Alex Jones is going to be, for lack of a better term, lobbying Trump and lobbying Congress to get something done because he's a fighter and he's a really smart guy despite all the crazy shit he said. So I could see, and he's also very passionate, so I could definitely see him do something about this.
Oh, absolutely. Plus, he has his own website, and if he was smart, and I'm sure he's probably considered this, what if he opened his own like sort of version of YouTube on there? I think people would start going there because he has an incredible amount of followers on his website. And if they had like a viable alternative to YouTube, like maybe talk with some of these other places, like I know like PewTube, and there was like some other YouTube alternative. I forget the name of it. It was a BitChute. I
Yeah.
heard that's being a lot more popular. If you like combine, just like sort of form this like with all those ones and get them on here, plus all his followers and all the info, like just a lot of the sort of right wing, you would see like H3 on there, get a bunch of other like major people, and you'll start seeing a lot more content on that website.
That would only happen if YouTube went full on. Let's censor everybody, like all our big names. Like, let's get rid of PewDiePie. Let's get rid of H3. And that would be suicide for YouTube, but in the end, I don't see any alternative having a potential to be valuable. There's no chance. Like everybody uses YouTube. It's the only video platform you use. Sometimes you're on Vimeo. Like I upload one video there because
I
for
don't think is Vimeo even around anymore.
oh yeah, yeah. They're more for niche like filmmakers to make short films and whatnot. It's more of a uh, professional short film YouTube. Like that's the best way I can describe it. And again, that's the biggest alternative to YouTube I see. Like, I never used BitChute or any of those other ones. YouTube is the only platform I use. The only platform like 99% of the world uses. And that's the problem here. That's why we're pushing this government regulations because they're monopolies. If there were, if you could get banned from YouTube, but you still had another platform, it would be fine. It'd be perfectly fine. It'd be like any other thing. Like, oh, I can't use, ShopRite bananas. I'm not allowed to buy them, but I can go to Acme and get bananas, or I can go to Wegmans and get bananas, or I can go to, millions of other grocery stores. I mean, that's something that's you have competition and you can still, go to. But with YouTube, it's just YouTube for videos. For social media, you got Facebook and Twitter, so it's not as bad, but still only two. Nobody uses fucking Google Plus. I'm surprised it's still operating. Nobody uses Gab. Nobody uses Minds. Like, there really is just YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And you maybe throw in Snapchat, which Infowars is on now. If anybody wants to check them on there, they post stuff. So that's really your main social media, and Instagram, which is owned by fucking Facebook. And that's the other problem. These guys are so big, is that they're going to buy up their competition. Like I believe Yahoo bought up Tumblr, which is just for your SJW blue-haired feminists. So we're not going to go on anytime soon. But and Google bought YouTube famously a few years ago. So they buy up their competition. So you're fucked either way.
I know, like, and well, I wouldn't exactly say YouTube's the only place to get videos because I know, like, a TikTok, aka Musically.
Yeah, but nobody
That's like the
uses
number one
those.
app right now. Now it's not YouTube, it's not Google, it's a completely new app, so it's not impossible just by that being on there. It's a top free app right now on the Google Play Store.
Yes, but that's for people that sing.
I know, but that's still something that could be done. You could have another one for more political channels. You just go on there. You could have like a Polititalk or something.
Yeah, but that's what BitChute is, and nobody uses BitChute.
Well, do they have an app on the App Store for it?
Well, see, even if I don't know, but the fact that I don't know is the problem right there. If they don't have, if I don't know if they have an app, like that's pretty bad. I know Gab tried to make an app, but they got rejected from the Apple App Store. So again, there's another example. The monopoly is controlling it. You still have Apple that controls the apps, which I like that because it keeps your iPhone and iPad extremely safe. But then there's a problem where it rejects apps. Again, YouTube's the only platform for videos. You can upload videos to Facebook, of course, but it's not the same as YouTube. YouTube it's the place to watch videos. It's an established platform, and it's a monopoly. Like there is no competition. I don't have much else to say about that, but it's a monopoly, and we gotta fix it somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we could go on a whole nother video about that, and we already talked a little bit about this before. But anyways,
Yeah.
Something that I talked about in a video which will probably be up soon.
Upcoming video.
The, school shooter training camp, and this is a really big deal. So over here they found it was in New Mexico. There was 11 children found over here, and they're being trained by I believe he was a son of an imam, a Muslim imam, and he's training students to commit school shootings. And I heard you got some more information on that.
Yeah, well, I found some interesting tidbits when I was looking into it more. Like the guy that was training these children on the compound wanted to perform an exorcism on his son because he thought he was possessed by the devil, and the guy in the compound, his father, like you mentioned, was an imam, who is an unindicted co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombings. And Linda Sarsour called him a mentor. I'm going to repeat that again because it is a little complicated. This the father of the guy that was training these kids in this New Mexico compound was a co-conspirator of the 1990, unindicted
What?
co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombings, and Linda Sarsour called this guy a mentor. Like, let that sink in.
Yeah, according to Breitbart too. Just we're not the ones who we didn't do firsthand lookings at this, but yeah, I just find it interesting. This comes out 3 days after Alex Jones got banned. Well, this is a huge deal. Like, how many of these places exist right now that we don't know about? Is this only one? Could there be other ones? Could there be ones with like that aren't tied to radical Islam? Could there be like some what about like the previous school shooters? Did they have any sort of training at like a clandestine camp like this? I don't know. It's just really weird. It's like something so specific, school shooter training camp, and this could be like another. I hope not. I hope this is just some like weird conspiracy theory. I hope it's not. But with the way it's going out right now, it could be like it could be even worse than project of the Operation the Fast and the Furious, which I don't know if you remember that.
I
That
remember that
was
one.
Yeah, that's where they had people. They had like FBI agents running guns to Mexican cartels, and essentially, I don't really know, like untraceable guns. And the theory goes that they were doing this so they could go and get like say, oh, these cartels are getting American guns. We need to go and implement more gun control, especially since this was going on during the Obama administration. So they were literally like, it was a literal false flag operation caught
Yeah.
in the middle. It was caught. I mean, this is a real thing. Look it up. And one of the guns used that they were selling illegally was used to kill. I think it was a border patrol agent or a police officer.
Yeah.
Like it was some really crazy stuff. What's going on? So I wouldn't think it's out of the like. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more of these around here, and they could have some, some sort of influence from some form of government. Maybe not our government. Maybe it could be like a Iranian government. I don't know. North Korea. I doubt North Korea would do that, but
Yeah.
there's some really this has a lot of implications right over here, and I talk about this in another video if you want to get more in depth about it.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, that's fucking crazy. Like, this is literally a guy, in the middle of the desert doing this shit and nobody knows about. I mean, like, anybody that's seen Breaking Bad knows that it's like, you can get away with all kinds of shit in the desert. Because it's big, it's empty, and it's desolate. It's pretty crazy stuff. And I don't really have, much to say about like the conspiracy angles of this, like, oh, Alex Jones got banned before. I mean, no matter when Alex Jones get banned, you can tie something to, oh, they're trying to cover this up because there's so much shit happening. But it is a big deal, and this is something he'd obviously be jumping up and down about. But I would, I don't see it as a false flag or anything. I see it more that either the government was probably watching this for a while, or they may have just found it by accident and they stopped it. But I'm definitely on your side on this, which is that there's probably maybe not necessarily more of these things happening, but I do wonder if there's more of this shit happening. There's so many crazies out there. There's a lot of open space where people aren't being watched. That there could be worse things happening. And what's with all these like unindicted co-conspirators of 1993 World Trade Center bombings popping up? Like, I've heard that multiple times in terrorists they've caught, which makes me wonder that they were probably they were probably watching this guy. Because when you're connected to something like that, like they were watching these people's family and their all their little connections. So I'd imagine this person has been in the eyes of the government for a while. But then Linda Sarsour calling the father a mentor is really fucked up, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, she's fucking crazy. Even though, let's keep in mind, this is the girl that was appointed as on the board of the Women's March. Apparently she's so woke and so progressive, that she dons the hijab and preaches extremely pro-Islam stuff, extremely anti-Western stuff, and yet she's the fucking, darling of the Women's March and is on their board.
Yeah, I assume in the next few days there'll be some more probably digging into the connections between just seeing what the father did, more looking at him, the relationship of the father and the son, and especially Linda Sarsour. But yeah, this is a really big deal over here, and I'm not saying the government had anything to do with this. They
Mm.
they probably didn't. But the fact that this guy was able to go and do this, and I think he was there for a while because there's like I think some kid who was he died and he was involved with this like a little kid who was being taught to the camp Columbine basically, and he was being taught how to do this, and they found his decomposing body over there, and I think it was like 3 weeks or something. I
Hmm.
have to go and look at the article again, but they found a dead body of like a child over there.
I
So
think they
while all
found
this
I think they found multiple like remains buried around there of children.
Yeah, this is crazy. They need to go, and I don't know how you go and stop this other than extreme vetting at the border. But I think this guy was a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. Which is the scary part. It's like, well, you always get the left that comes after you and says, well, most terrorists are, homegrown. They're born here and raised here. Why do you want a Muslim ban, even though it's a travel ban? Why do you want a Muslim ban when the most terrorism comes from here? It's like, well, we want to be proactive. If a burglar robs your house and gets in through the window, well, you want to lock your doors and lock your windows. You don't do one and not the other. You secure everything so that you're proactive, so these things don't happen again through other means. Because imagine because this has happened before, like the Paris attacks that killed, I think it was around 100 people. The Bataclan terrorist attacks. Those guys slipped in, I believe. I think some of them were from the ones that blew themselves up. I think in the stadium came from Syria, and I know they came through, a bunch of other countries and got to France. So it's not like it hasn't happened in the world before, and the U.S. just wants to be proactive about it. Or at least Trump does. And obviously it's a problem that's happening here, homegrown. And I wouldn't be surprised the Lunar Sorcerer does something crazy or has some more crazy ties because she's a radical. She's nuts. Even some leftists disavow her. She's so fucking nuts.
Yeah,
Uh,
another thing too is like it's really hard. Like, what are our options to go and stop us? We can't just have like if they're U.S. citizens, we can't really have a Muslim ban. Like, what are we gonna do?
yeah,
Like, are we gonna go and like have to have a closer eye on like like mosques? At what point are we allowed to do those things? Is it worth it in terms of our our values as Americans and our First Amendment? Like, what are we gonna like? How are we gonna prevent future terrorist training camps from popping up in our soil? We're gonna have to go and monitor everybody more. It's like our church is gonna have to be bugged. Like, it's
yeah.
just like screwed up, and I don't know how to stop these things while also being respectful of people's rights. So that's something that has to be looked at. Not like how do we prevent this? And I think we could probably go on about that for hours, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot to unpack there. And last thing I'll emphasize is what you were saying pretty much before was that I'm just genuinely shocked how little people care about this and how the news just stopped talking about it so quickly. And I think the main reason is because there's no I don't want to use this word in the wrong way, but I have a better word. There's no spectacle to it. And what I mean by that is when there's a shooting or when there's a bombing, like something happens and people die and there's fire and explosion and gunfire, like that's the shit the news eats up. That sells well. But something like this, nothing happened. They stopped an attack. It's I think a better word for the media would be it's kind of anticlimactic for the media. And then that's a good thing because nobody died. But this is something like that's not it's newsworthy, but it's not something that sells really well. But it is definitely something that's interesting.
Oh no. Here's the thing. Like, you could you could talk a lot about it, but you're not going to be talking very politically correct
That's
because
true.
yeah, like the media can't really spin this to fit their agenda, so they're not going to do that. So you could talk all about, like how many of these exist. You could talk about, immigration into this, about looking at, a lot of alternative options out there, but none of it really fits their narrative, and that's I think why they're not going to talk about it. It's just like no matter what way they try to go and spin this, it's not going to look good on them, especially given that the November elections are coming up. And if you want to stop this, vote Republican. If you want to stop
Mm.
these sort of camps from popping up, stop like radical Islamic terrorists from coming to the country. That's one way to go and do it. And hopefully, I don't know, did they catch the guy alive?
I believe so. Yeah, and I think and I think everybody there was alive. The 11 children and the guy were alive, but
It's
there were
dead.
Yeah, except for the dead bodies, of course. You said alternative options. Were you gaslighting the alt right there and dog whistling?
No, no, no. Like you have to go and
I'm
like I'm
kidding.
just saying that you consider, every what options you're gonna have. Like, do we have to go and like start monitoring people for their
Oh
ties?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how are we gonna do this? So that's not up for me to decide. But they need to go and start figuring out ways to stop this before something else happens. And it took them weeks and weeks. And I just hope it does involve taking away the rights of millions and millions of Americans who have no ties to this sort of nonsense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I knew what you meant. It's just I was waiting for somebody in the fucking comments to say, "Oh, you sell alternative. You're gaslighting, bro. Banned." We're gonna talk about that in some video at some point, but I fucking hate the word gaslighting.
It's used so much, and like it's supposed to be about some sort of it's like a form of abuse, but they use it so much. Like it's if you're in like a relationship, I think, and then they keep saying, oh, you're being, I'm not hitting you, I'm just giving you love smacks or something like that. It's just like this sort of, they turn up the gas, like they turn down the gas slightly, and it's like the boiling frogs analogy. That's basically what they're doing.
Is it turn the
But
frogs gay? It's Mike Pence with his lightning turn the frogs gay.
I think he would do the opposite effect. Maybe that's the into the chemicals. Banning Alex Jones, that's not the solution. Just banning him doesn't mean the frogs are all right. It just means
Dude,
you
millions of
keep.
gay frogs are mourning the banning of Alex Jones.
I know. You gotta protect protect all the frogs, gay or straight.
Yeah.
Protect them from being forced sex change.
Yeah. Anyway, next story we want to talk about is more of a local story for us. A pro-gun group called Triggered Millennials that we talk to a lot. We know the people involved in that a lot. They were recently at a March for Our Lives event, and their leader, Mark, was kicked out of the event after he asked a question about teachers being allowed to conceal carry in schools. It was very innocuous. He wasn't being aggressive, wasn't being mean, wasn't being even remotely provocative. I mean, in their world, probably is provocative, but he's just asking the question. And they fucking kick him out of the event. They take the mic out of his hand, just shove him out. They literally grab him and push him out. Like I'll link the video down below, but I'm not making this up when I say this. And it shows the hypocrisy of the March for Our Lives. They're like, oh, we're not really about gun control. We're just about protecting all Americans. We're gonna look at all sides. We're open to conversation. We're productive. No, you're not. I mean, literally, your poster child David Hogg hung up on the White House. I mean, that's the most unproductive thing in the world. And now you guys do this. I hate this sort of stuff.
Yeah, me too. Like this whole movement, and they should have let him speak. And then I believe I was talking to Mark about this, and he said that they felt threatened, and that's why they kicked him out. Like just because he has a different opinion, he might be pro-gun, doesn't mean that he's gonna go and like shoot someone who doesn't agree with him. They go and like have these misconceptions, and the fact of the matter is, like lawful gun owners, especially concealed carry, especially people with NFA items, are some of the most like law-abiding citizens just based on what they have to do.
Yep.
Like if you get caught smoking weed, you conceal carry a weapon, which I think is really stupid, and they need to change that. But that's thanks to federal law and whatnot. But and a lot of times state laws too. But yeah, they just go and treat them like crap over there, and they don't debate. And it's not the only time that leftists refuse to debate. I know they had who was it the socialist woman from New York,
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yes, Alexandria. She was like refusing to debate, and then said, "Oh, you're catcalling me because you wanted to debate me." And it's like, if they really think their ideas are so great, why don't they just go and debate people instead of no platforming them and then getting all like triggered?
Exactly. Yeah, there's like no confidence. They have no confidence in their beliefs, which means they really don't understand their beliefs. They don't really have any they just don't have any confidence in their beliefs. I mean, I really can't put it any better. And yeah, Ocasio Cortez was getting called out by Candace Owens, who said, "I'll debate you, and we'll donate $10,000 to charity." And she kept like upping the fucking numbers. I think Charlie got into it and got it up to 100,000. I could be wrong on that number, but basically she's afraid to debate her ideas. Like And then Ben Shapiro got into it, and she was afraid to debate him too, which I kind of understand, to be honest, because Ben Shapiro, as much as I love to, you know, poke at him a bit because he's a bit of a cock and never Trumper. Self-described never Trumper, might I add. I'm not making that up for anybody who says that in the comments. He is a very good debater. I'd be afraid to debate him. And Candace Owens she's a smart girl. I'd be afraid to debate her too if I was on the other side. But at the same time, I would still, have the balls to debate him either way, because it looks better if you're going to stand up for your ideas. And if you really do believe in your ideas and you understand them and you think they're better, you should be able to win. You
If
know?
you're an if you're an elected official, that kind of comes with the election. That comes with the job. You have to be able to go and debate people. Like she wants the left want to go and position her to become the next president or whenever she's actually of age because she's pretty young. And what do they expect? Like she's gonna go on the field and let's say it's like someone like Donald Trump's up there and they start the debate. And she's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna talk. You're basically catcalling me and just end the debate right there."
Yeah.
Like is that what their like debate strategy is gonna be? If so, I can't wait for 2020.
Yeah.
They just like walk away and be like, "Oh, I'm not debating you. You're racist, sexist, homophobic, blah blah blah." It's just a bunch of BS because they're afraid to go and have their ideas thrown out there because they're useless. They're terrible ideas.
Yeah, I think they have no confidence in their ideas, or they know in the back of their minds that their ideas cannot win. Their ideas will lose, and that's pretty sad if you think that. And if you do think that, we have an open door here on the conservative side. You can gladly join us. You can change. I mean, that's what Candace Owens did. She used to be a Democrat to vote for Obama, and then now she's a proud Trump supporter. It's people can change. You just gotta be willing to change.
Oh, and the funny thing was they had some sort of like primary elections and whatnot going on this week, and all the like I think only two. It was either two or three of the people that Alexandria Cortez and Bernie Sanders were supporting like actually got in out of like five.
Well, all the
And
people that sorry, I have to correct you before you continue. All the people that Alexandria supported lost.
that's even better than all the ones. I think most, if not all, the ones that Trump supported like actually won the primary, and then they have the guy in Ohio. I think he won because there's like a vacancy and he actually got there. But that's a really interesting one. So they're still counting some of the write-ins.
Yeah.
Weird laws about that, but he's still looking pretty good.
Yeah, he lost, I think, half of the margin because of a quote error, and I thought, gee, it's funny how that happens only when a conservative wins. Like, that's a little, you guys all love to talk about voter fraud and how Trump's crazy for believing there's voter fraud, people vote illegally. And then this just magically happens when it's a tight race and the conservative wins. It just magically popped up. I'm not pointing any conspiracy. I'm just saying it's a funny observation.
Yeah, and then I saw an article the other day too. There's someone voting who like multiple people who are like over 117 years old voting, when the oldest person alive is in Japan. She's only 115. So obviously there's some dead people voting right now, and that's really screwed up.
As Milo would say, why do the dead always vote Democrat? you know,
Yeah, we need to go and fix this system in America because we can't stop like not requiring voter ID to vote. No other first world country, to my knowledge, does that. That's just stupid. And they want to go and say, oh well, the only reason you want to do this is because it's racist. Like no, if by that logic, then we shouldn't have gun control then because those people wanted to go and do that. They wanted to go and do that. We're all racist in like the '60s, and they didn't like black people having guns. You can look at the racist history of gun control.
yep.
But at least for voter ID, it makes sense to have that because people, they just go and vote illegally. There's people got caught like voting multiple times, voting illegally, and there's very few checks in place when you don't have a voter ID to go and know that they're actually being, honest. What's stopping, for the left? What's stopping like Russian agents from coming in here and voting if they don't have voter ID? Keep Putin out of the vote Republican.
Dude, I love those memes. Those are fucking spicy. They were on r/dot. It was like, it was like you said, keep Putin out of the polls, support voter ID. Oh my god. I mean, because that's the thing. Like you said about gun control. Gun control, you could argue, like as Madge Torres says, is racist because who needs guns the most? Who is in crime areas the most? Who is disproportionately committing or is a victim of crimes? Black people. they're the ones you should be arming and letting themselves defend themselves and making their community safer. Why do you want gun control so badly? Because that's all, gun control only takes guns away from legal citizens. It does put some friction on bad people, but it's very limited in that sense. And you're only going to hurt law-abiding citizens more than anything, and especially minorities. And with voter ID, I love how the left always says, "Oh, but then you just want poor people and minorities aren't going to be able to vote." I'm like, bigotry of low expectations much? You think they can't figure out how to get voter ID? I mean, they can get a bunch of other IDs. They can get a driver's license. They can get just a regular old government ID. If you can't drive yet. I mean, I've been to the DMV. I've seen a lot of minorities there. I think they can do it. I have confidence in people, unlike the left, so I don't see how this is racist. I would see, I think the left is worried about losing, those votes of the dead and the, people that vote twice, people that say they're somebody they're not. Like, it does happen. Project Veritas did a video where they, I think they put a hijab on or something, and they said, "Oh, I'm Huma Abedin," and they fucking got in the fucking polling booth. I'm like, Jesus, this is fucking crazy. Like, there's obviously, it's obviously easy to, break the system.
Yeah, they want to talk about things that are dangerous to our democracy. This is probably the most dangerous thing, is allowing people to not require voter ID. But anyway, speaking of supposedly racist things,
Yeah.
there's an interesting story that came out this week with the publishing of Omarosa's book, Unhinged.
Yeah, she claimed that three main things. She claimed Trump is a racist. It's not like I've heard that claim before from people. She said that Trump said the N word, which no really evidence of that. And she said that Trump offered her a job on the Trump 2020 campaign for her silence and all this crap. And I didn't buy the book or read the book for the record, but this is something that's already died out of the headlines because it has no evidence backing up. It's just, oh, witnesses have seen it too, or oh, I've heard from this person that this person told me. Well, one person that she said supposedly told her this stuff, Frank Luntz, shot back on Twitter saying, quote, "I'm in Omarosa's book on page 149. She claims to have heard from someone who heard from me that I heard Trump use the N-word. Not only is this flat out false, I've never heard such a thing, but Omarosa didn't even make an effort to call or email me to verify. Very shoddy work," unquote. And I looked at her Wikipedia page, and interestingly enough, she's claimed that other people have said the N-word before, and it's usually people that fire her or don't like her. It's funny how that keeps happening.
Yeah, I wonder why. Maybe it's like as soon as they fire her, they just start becoming racist.
Yeah.
Before that, they're perfectly fine people. Like she's just a sore loser. I think she lost her job, and now it's like, oh, Trump said the N-word, it's on tape. And I could care less if he said the N-word at some point in his life. Like it's not like they're making it worse than the fact that like it's like words are somehow associated with just like being evil. It's like you could go and shoot someone and then you can get a pardon. But if you say the N-word, there's nothing that can save you. It's just like it's like killing somebody. It's like raping a baby. It's like essentially it's basically like being a pedophile, because once you get done the crime, once you do the time for the crime, you're out of there. They're basically making it worse than pedophilia, especially the left, who openly endorse pedophilia in certain articles. Like, come on, I'm looking at you. And this is just like, and it's holding over her head. And then another thing, if this would have, like, this was here, they would have used it during the 2016 election. Like, they would have paid millions and millions. Like the Democrat, they have a lot of money with all these like George Soros types. Don't you think he would have bought that tape?
Exactly. Yeah, and they got the ground by the pussy tape out there. They would have had this tape out there. Like, all the dirt on Trump has been pulled out, and it really isn't that much. Like I've said before, he's the cleanest guy in Washington, D.C. right now. But the thing with Omarosa, the people who either didn't watch The Apprentice or didn't know who she was, so just don't understand. She's fucking crazy. Like, I don't call a lot of people crazy, but she's fucking crazy. Like, well, I remember when she was fired from the White House, many outlets said that she was literally dragged out of the White House because she wouldn't leave. Secret Service had to drag her out. And I remember, it would kind of confirm my, because I was a little bit, dubious of that. I was like, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. And then I see a clip from her on Big Brother, and she's like crying about Trump. She's like, "Oh, he says all these tweets, and it's scary. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen." Like this bitch is crazy. Like, I saw clips where she's like praising Trump and loving Trump, and like, "Oh, he's so wonderful," and then she says all this shit. I'm like, something's up here. You don't just turn on a dime on a guy that after you get fired. And like I said, she's made these claims about like, oh, so and so said the N word. It's kind of funny how you keep pulling the race card. But for your entertainment, viewers and listeners, Google or type in on YouTube, The Apprentice, Omarosa versus Pierce Morgan. I do not like either of those people, but that is the fucking funniest thing I've ever seen. That is golden TV. Like Pierce Morgan, for the lefty loon and gun control nut he sticks up for Trump because he was on The Apprentice, and I think he knows that Trump's a smart, very capable guy, and oh my god, it's so funny the shit he says back at her because she says a lot of crazy shit. Like she freaks out him in this car and like rips up some papers and starts cursing at him. And he actually in that same scene, like she starts attacking Pierce Morgan's kids. She's like, "Oh, your kids hate you. They think you're an embarrassment," and she just starts going after his kids. I'm like, dude, don't bring that shit up.
Didn't she do that to Trump too? Like she said that Trump was calling his kids retarded or something.
What?
Like I heard, I think I was watching. It was like either Fox or I read something on the internet. It was like, oh yeah, he was calling like Trump Jr. or something, or it was one of the Trumps. He's got so many kids. He's a very successful man. He called what like
No, it's good to
according
great.
to her, she according to whatever I saw, said that she, like apparently he was saying like rude things about his kids or and like all this stupid
I don't
stuff.
believe that for a fucking second. Cause I met Eric Trump, and the guy's a smart, cool, down to earth guy. Like, and Trump loves his kids. He's proud of his kids, and all his kids came out great. There's no fucking way he would say that. I mean, she's crazy.
Yeah, and then it's bad when in the current atmosphere with everyone just attacking Trump, they're not even really bringing her up because they know that she's like if they start like giving her any credence, it's gonna make them look bad. Like CNN is at least to my knowledge, they aren't even like really touching her too much.
And that says something. Yeah, she's like a day, one day tabloid story, and that's it. Like, she's crazy. She's never gonna get hired again. Like, she has no credibility. She's proven track record of being crazy. I mean, like that Apprentice compilation is so funny, but so sad at the same time. 'Cause it's like this girl's nuts, which makes me wonder why Trump actually hired her for the White House in the first place. I mean,
Probably like an affirmative action hire, so he like it looked probably just for optics to be honest, because she was terrible on The Apprentice. Unless she was like a really awesome person. Outside of that, like I don't really see what she did that will other than be on The Apprentice.
yeah.
Like,
I
what
have to
was
say though, great TV. It was great TV.
what was her previous qualifications for whatever things she was like?
I don't know. I'm actually gonna look that up now because all I know is that she was on The Apprentice and a bunch of other reality shows.
Reality TV. That's so funny. I think it was just because Trump knew it's like, yeah, she seems cool and it'll probably help me get the black vote. Like that's probably what his sort of ideals were.
Well, I
And
think
I mean,
she does have a certain like, not necessarily passion, but like pushiness that if you could channel it right, like it could be used for good. But obviously, it fucking can't. I mean, Trump has struck it out like 3 for 3 here with her.
what did she even do in the White House?
She was a communications director for the Office of Public Liaison.
Oh God, why did they give her that? She's just like, from her experience on there, she's just terrible.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's still funny. Like again, if I don't care what you think about Pierce Morgan, you have to watch that. It's so funny because it's just like this back and forth with them, like right out of the get go. I mean, it's just funny.
All right, but I think that's about as much screen time as that were. We probably were a little bit too generous with her in the screen time she's getting today.
We were.
Anyway, so I've heard there was some more revelations about James Gunn, the one of the guys who got fired recently from the cast of, or he was like the director
Director.
of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, there was a report from the Daily Caller named Ian Miles Chung. I've seen him on Twitter a lot. You probably come across him even if you didn't realize it. But he found these photos on James Gunn's own fucking website where he's at this party that's themed after this story called "To Catch a Predator," and it's basically a story about pedos being busted after they targeted children online, and it's a whole pedophile themed party. If you look at the pictures, it's so fucking creepy. Like this is something straight out of a horror movie. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you people. I was defensive of James Gunn when he got fired because I said, well, it's possible he's a pedophile because these things are a little fucked up to joke about, but you know, I'm always against people getting fired for jokes. I'm always against that, so I have to be against it here. You know, if he's a pedophile, you know, if God forbid he is, then I regret defending him because there were signs here, and there were signs. And now it looks like it's again. There's still no proven pedophilia, but this is fucking weird. Okay, normal people don't go to a pedophile themed party. I mean, that's fucked up. I'm sorry. It's so creepy.
Yeah, it's really strange that this is happening. And while I'm also against just like censoring people, it looks really terrible for you to be doing this. Like going to a pedo party, like it's gonna make it's bringing back to Alex Jones because everything involves him. All like that Pizzagate stuff. When you see parties like this, it really makes you think. Not saying that that was an actual thing, but it is surprising how much like big Hollywood people are into things involving kids and
Yeah.
him going to this party like dressed. What was he dressed as a priest and he was like groping some girl in a picture? Like it was looking really disturbing. I seen the images. It was like there's like a priest in one, like this clown like putting his hand over a girl's mouth. Like
Yeah.
it's just really disturbing.
Yeah, and I was actually going back to Alex Jones. There was this interview he did with this actor named oh god, it's Isaac something, and he was talking about the pedo problem, and he called out some names, saying I think he said Seth Green's a pedophile, and he said James Gunn's a pedophile, but he talked about going to these parties, and he said there were parties he'd go to where they would have like their little like they would use code words about pedophilia, and they had like places where they would keep the kids and stuff, and he said, and then he talked about how a lot of these parties had underage girls there and all kinds of stuff. I could definitely believe underage girls, but some of the stuff I don't know if I believe about. But he got into so much detail that I wonder because he talked about like how this one room was like a doll. I think he said it was like a dollhouse theme room, and he just goes into so much detail. You can't view the video now because Alex's channel's been deleted, but you can probably find it re-uploaded maybe somewhere else. I don't know, but he was going into that shit, and it was pretty freaky. Like I'm just saying, I'm very suspicious because there's a lot of people that said there's a pedophile problem. Elijah Wood from Lord of the Rings said that Hollywood's got a pedophile problem. There's a bunch of people that have said this stuff. So I don't know how big of a problem it is. I think it could be. I think it's bigger than people think it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely, but yeah, and Email Strong was a really interesting character too. Like, he used to be on the SJW side of GamerGate, and then like he had a change of heart. So
Oh really?
yeah. That's an interesting guy. That whole GamerGate thing too. A lot of people who weren't in there for the whole thing. So he used to be like against it, but then I think he got hired on Heat Street,
Mm-hmm.
and he started to become like I think he made an apology. I know Sargon did something on him, but he's an interesting character. I mean, I give him a lot of props too for I know that he originally was a like supporter of not firing him, but even now he's like, yeah, I think I made a mistake, and yeah, he's a pretty interesting guy. But
Yeah.
that's what we got for today.
Yeah. Well, just last thing I'll mention is the guy's name is Isaac Cappy. Look him up if you're interested. He's the actor that was talking about this. So I don't know how legitimate his stuff is because he's kind of like a D-list actor. Like he's not a big name in any regard. I couldn't even remember his name, but he wasn't some big-ish movies. He was in Thor. I don't know what he did, but look that up if you're interested. Try to find that interview. I don't know how legit what he says is, but it's some weird shit. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen though with that whole thing. It could come out, but who knows?
All right, but anyways, that all of everything from your end.
Yeah, I guess that's all we're gonna talk about today. So we'll see you guys next week.
All right, see you around.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with more real news.